well, last week's announcement from Ohio Senator Rob Portman that he won't seek re-election, combined with the impending retirement of a couple of other Republican senators, leaves the GOP with a lot of planning to do ahead of the 2022 midterms. Overall, there are 34 Senate seats up for re-election in 2022. 20 of those are held by Republicans, including critical ones in battleground states like Wisconsin and North Carolina. Joining us now are the GOP chairs of those two states, Wisconsin's Andrew Hitt, and we hope to be joined by North Carolina's Mike Whatley shortly. Chairman, welcome to the show.
Good to be with you again.
All right. Wisconsin, definitely a battleground state. We saw how that went in this last election. You have Senator Johnson now, who has raised just under $100,000 last quarter, which is not much if you're running for Senate. When do you need to know if he's going to run for re-election so that you can plan for this midterm?
Well, I think we're many months away from knowing whether or not Senator Johnson is going to run. I think he's got plenty of time to do that. I think it could even go into the end of this year before he makes his decision. He is a very good fundraiser when he turns it on. He is a very great candidate when he turns it on. I think he's going to be very strong here, this year, this cycle, if he decides to run again.
All right. So you're feeling confident. Not worried at all.
You know what? Elections are always close in Wisconsin. It is a purple state. There's swing voters in this state galore. But, he works so hard. Unlike some candidates, he'll go to a Packer game and, instead of having staff pick out a few people to talk to, he talks to every single one. He walks down that line. He connects with people. He talks to everyday people because he is an everyday person. He's not a politician.
I love it. I love it. All right. Well, the number one goal is in keeping the seat either way in Republican hands. We've seen a lot of Republican infighting right now in the party. Does that concern you at all about what the midterms may look like?
Obviously, any kind of infighting is concerning. It's not atypical after an election like we had this last fall. I think we have to really focus on something that brings the party together, brings these different coalitions, these different factions together. For me, I think it's pretty clear that it's election integrity, it's election reform. We focus on that. That is the one thing that kind of brings people back together. They want to have confidence in their elections. They want to see us fighting to make sure that we have an integrity to the vote. I think if we can do that as not only a state party, but a national party and as elected officials, we'll come a long ways to healing people and bringing people back together again.
Yeah, and I do think people want to have confidence. Obviously, an election there has been shaken from this last election. We've seen that very clearly. But your state is a must-win, and so is North Carolina. We don't have our Chairman Whatley with us, but these two states are definitely must-wins if we're going to take back the Senate in 2022. What are you specifically doing to make people realize that you are putting all these things in place so they can have confidence in 2022?
So here in Wisconsin, I formed an election reform task force. It's made up of county party chairs, activists from around the state, lawyers in our state who know a great deal about election laws here in Wisconsin. They have got to work already, have had a few meetings. They are going to be looking through the guidance documents that the Wisconsin Elections Commission provides. They're going to be looking at reforms that need to be put in place. Those may be vetoed by Governor Evers, but there is a lot we can do to put on his plate to really put it in front of him. There are court actions that we are likely going to have to take. We're working closely with our legislative leaders and committee chairs as well. So it's a combined effort here in Wisconsin to really make sure we're focused on bringing back confidence in our elections.
That's good to hear. Are you doing anything to push that out, to market that, so people see, wow, there are real plans to gain confidence in this election? Besides interviews like this, what are you doing to make sure that people know that those steps that you just laid out?
Yeah, well, you're so right. That is so critical. And if people don't know, if we don't tell them, there's no chance of them kind of restoring that confidence. So I've actually sent out emails on it to our grassroots activists, our delegates. I did a county chair call actually with all 72 counties last night, laying out the election reform task force, actually forming a subcommittee. There's so many people who wanted to participate that I formed this subcommittee specifically on poll workers and election day observers, because so many people want to contribute and want to participate.
That's so good. Last thing for you, Chairman Hitt. We talk about these narratives, and it's so important to get that narrative out there so people know what's going on. They know that things are happening. They know that the GOP chair is working for them to create a confident election. But you have the media on the other side. We saw how they predicted this last election. So we're going to have this massive blue wave that, the GOP was going to get crushed in the House. That didn't happen. They were a little more right on the Senate because obviously we lost control of the Senate. But how much do you pay attention to that and to what they say and don't say? Do you keep a pulse on that, or do you not care?
That's why we, this last cycle built this just amazing ground game and amazing ground team. We had the biggest volunteer base we ever had. We had the most paid staffers we ever had. And that's because we want to cut through all of that noise, contact people directly, talk to them, people that they go to church with, that they have neighbors, and so that they really understand and can hear from somebody they know about the accomplishments of President Trump, of our other elected officials. That's really important, cutting through that noise. We're going to double down on that strategy going into 2022.
Glad to hear it. We'll have to check back in with you as we get closer to that. I know it feels like we are far away, but glad to hear that you guys are already doing stuff on the ground. So glad to be joined. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
All right. And sorry that we had a technical difficulty with Chairman Whatley. We'll hope to get him back another time. All right, well, coming up, have you noticed how liberals have totally changed their tune on things like police reform and calling out big tech since Biden was elected president? YouTuber Matt Christensen is going to join us to discuss.